students and scholars, teachers and trainers, professors and professionals, learners and listeners from the field of science, religion, spirituality, arts, commerce and engineering, the most honorable present Prime Minister and Dr. Narendra Modi ji, availability of respected doctors and ministers, reverend fathers and mothers, affectionate sons and daughters, I, Dr. RKSMS from USA, heartily, cordially appreciate, admire, praise your presence with 100% present sense of mind. It is really nice time, nice place, nice section that we are listening the truth of science and spirituality. It is the God's grace, His greatest blessing that we are entertaining and listening the truth of science and spirituality. Early in the morning, God has provided us nice time, nice place, nice action. Nice to see all of you. Nice to think all of you. Dear friends, now we study precepts number 1. Follow the religion of your birth or bringing, and at the same time develop an understanding and appreciation about the purity and nobility of all other world religions by acquiring a basic knowledge on them. Explanatory notes, explanatory remarks. Following one's religion of birth helps in emotional sustenance, a sense of security derived from belonging to a particular society, and more importantly, in feeling comfortable with oneself, since that particular religion is deeply ingrained in one's genes. At the same time, an understanding and appreciation for other religions and avoiding to be judgmental on ideologies of others helps in developing mutual respect for all religions and their followers, which in turn brings down the veils of alienation. The veils of alienation. This leads to the realization of the truth that we are all people of one planet and children of the same God, the supreme source of each one of us. Precepts 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4 and 5. Discover, appreciate and further develop godliness within yourself. Be chaste and truthful. Refrain from sensual misconduct. Be merciful towards all living beings. Do not be greedy. Learn to be content, tolerant, and flexible. Avoid taking extreme stances. Explanatory remarks. Human life form is the greatest gift of divinity. Human life form is the greatest gift of divinity. We are the only species on this planet that is endowed with a special privilege whereby our higher faculties, particularly the intellectual faculty, enjoy the benefit of perpetual evolution, a process which is missing in all other species. This fact has recently been confirmed by Bruce T. Lane, of the University of Chicago, according to whose research findings the until recently accepted theory that the human brain stopped evolving any further some 50,000 years ago is wrong. According to his findings, the human brain continues to evolve even today. Therefore, why should some of us humans continue to disgracefully keep ourselves tied down to lower, inferior, and primitive levels of brain functioning, reflecting the same in our thoughts and deeds, perhaps similar to those of lowly evolved life forms. Let us grow up in line with the divine plans and reflect that growth of our intellectual evolution, which is touching newer heights by the divine grace. Let us also be chaste and truthful, refrain from sensual misconduct, be merciful towards all living beings, not to be greedy, learn to be contented, and so on. Generally, making fuller use of our intellect, we should develop in ourselves characteristics of compassion, flexibility, tolerance, and forgiveness characteristics, which are typically missing in lower life forms. In fact, these are the greatest virtues which only humans can have. Let us learn to be more human first. This is what we deserve to be, and that is what is expected of us. Precept number 6. Avoid public display of your charity, good deeds, worship, devotion, and so on. Explanatory remarks. This is one precept which exists in most religious and should be followed unless certain practices are specially directed in certain religion, such as community prayer, means namaz in Islam. The idea should be that others are not disturbed in the name of anyone's religious activities. The use of loudspeakers for religion is one example of nuisance to society at large, particularly to students studying or to ailing and old people who need rest. Such encroachments in the lives of people in the name of religion amounts to imposition of one's religious beliefs or practices on others. Noise pollution or traffic blocking by religious processions should be a strict no. In fact, instead of ritualistic public displays, a better option could be a quiet contribution means physical labor or financial towards health care for humans as well as animals, education for the poor and other social welfare activities. Precept number 7: do not expect free gifts or miracles by praying or otherwise. Consider hard work as worship. Rewards should follow. Explanatory remarks: miracles, if any, will happen on their own, prayer or no prayer. God may neither have any role to play nor the time or inclination to shower free gifts or make miracles happen for one or more of the millions and millions of us. Any faith in this regard is only misplaced when seen in the light of rational and scientific thought, or even in the light of common sense. In any case, God helps those who help themselves. Precept number 8: keep away from all intoxicants and unnatural exciting things such as alcohol, cigarettes, drugs, gambling, and so on. For your body's sake, it may be better to live a simpler life as a vegetarian and doing fasting as fast as possible. Explanatory notes: alcohol consumption robs one of her or his capabilities, both physical as well as mental, making one a liability to the family, the society, and even to oneself, at least temporarily, until alcohol concentration in the bloodstream comes down. But until then, one can't properly attend to any emergency in the family, write properly, or drive safely. Please don't be carried away by justification in the name of social drinking within limits, because there are no defined limits. Even more ridiculous is the fact that it's the partially drunk person deciding that limit. More importantly, alcohol damages several body organs, particularly the kidneys, related functioning of pituitary gland, which is produces hormones to control kidney function, liver, as it can't handle alcohol at the rate of which it is typically intaken, resulting in cirrhosis, that is shrinking of liver. Stomach: as an irritant, alcohol causes an imbalanced increase in production of stomach acids, resulting in poor digestion, causing vomiting. Pancreas inflammation, and so on. Smoking cigarette, etc., is even more injurious, as its ill effects show slowly and yet lethally on the heart. Constriction of arteries by toxins from smoke results in high BP. Throat and lungs, laryngitis or sore throat, and permanent death. One by one of the millions of microscopic cleaning brooms in the air passages called cilia, which are first paralyzed and then become dead. Kidneys. Nicotine from smoke disturbs the functioning of pituitary gland, responsible for an otherwise balanced functioning of kidneys. Apart from several other direct or indirect harmful effects, it may be interesting information that cigarette smoke contains some 4,000 toxic chemicals, out of which over 40 are carcinogenic, cancer consuming, cancer causing. Socially too, second hand smoke thrust by smokers on others is equally bad. Why smoke anyways? Drugs are even worse. Gambling never does any good to gamblers. In horse racing, in horse racing, world over on or in the gambling dens of Las Vegas, people who make the most are a handful of manipulative people who run those games. Gambling deprives our own loved ones of our financial resources and support. Vegetarianism is a scientifically considered a safer and softer option for the body's requirement of proteins and other nutrients in regard to digestion, freshness and resistance to infections. Remember the recent cases of the poisoning of fish, the mad cow disease and bird flu. Some religions may be for such reasons do not permit animal killings for food. Fasting, periodic, helps keep the physical system in better shape and ensure a certain discipline on eating patterns. For instance, selective eating of, say, only fruits in some fasting rituals can help prevent deficiency of certain micronutrients. Such reasons justify periodic fasting precepts in most religions. Precept 9. Be patient and tolerant. Be always positive in your thinking, speaking, and in your relationships with others. Explanatory remarks. Being patient and tolerant is a great virtue befitting humans as children of God and who have the capability to cultivate such virtues. We must also learn to find positive aspects to everyone, everything, every situation. If we find it difficult, we should invent one. Once we have discovered a positive aspect, only then we deserve to take stock of negative aspects also. We should make communications positively oriented. Precept number 10. Do not make presumptions about what is in other people's mind. The brain working overtime on behalf of others without invitation or for yourself is no good and is the root cause for most conflicts. whether at a personal or social level or between countries. Don't spend time on non creative and negative issues. Explanatory remarks. We should not assume that we know the best, particularly better than the other person in front of us, and that we know what she or he is thinking. The brain working overtime does no good to anybody except when it comes to really deserving situations like scientific explorations, creative pursuits, or philosophizing on metaphysical issues. In most day-to-day situation, whether in a family, relations or neighbors, or even among countries or among religions, the root cause of most misunderstandings is someone's brain working overtime. Very conveniently, we presume what is going on in the other person's mind, and so make matters worse. We presume we are dead right. Such predispositions are generally termed smartness or being fast. Sometimes such predispositions can be attributed to past experiences, resulting in a bias, generally negative and sometimes so intuition. Since it is my intuition, it can't be wrong. Read the following box for a true story demonstrating the futility of such psyche. In most practical situations, we are invariably wrong in our presumptions, 85% times wrong. According to one study, this happens because of our ignorance of reality in its totality, and we tend to behave in a wrong or unfair manner on the basis of half baked presumptions or information. Let us not think that we alone can be right all the time. We must give others a fair chance. Precept 11. Do unto others as you would like others to do to you. Explanatory remarks. Easily understandable if we can pick up the habit of putting our own feet in the shoes of others. Only then we can more easily appreciate the point of view of others and their values. Precept 12. Respect everyone around you, particularly elders. Have no bias based on gender, color, creed, reason, religion, and so on. Explanatory remarks. As the adage goes, respect begets respect. Each one of us wants to be respected. So giving respect to others is in our own interest. To forget old cases which may take this dialogue to a tangential direction. Let us understand that every individual is a product of past circumstances through which she or he has passed, which were beyond her or his control or not of her or his choosing, support her or him on age, where is basis, and refrain from being judgmental about others. We must learn and try to respect or simply tolerate others as best and as far as possible unconditionally, without resorting to the lame excuse that the other person does not deserve our magnanimity. Make no mistake about the fact that we are not too different ourselves. Moreover, being better or worse is a dynamic state. We all keep shutting every moment between being very good, good, not so good, bad and very bad. So let's refrain from labeling others as bad or permanently bad. The eternal truth is I am not okay. You are not okay. But it is okay. Most religions and this precept broadly as love thy neighbor. Know what you are thinking, even if you are not thinking. During those during those stricter times of the communist regime in the USSR, Soviet Union, secrecy was of paramount importance. Once two Russian officials met at the Moscow terminal of the metro and exchanged greetings. One told the other that he was going to Leningrad, now St. Petersburg. The other Russian's mind started working overtime. He mused, this comrade is. He mused, this comrade. He mused, this comrade is telling me that he is going to Leningrad just to mislead me into thinking that he must be going elsewhere, maybe to Kiev or some other place, trying to play smart on me. I am smarter. He can't mislead me. I am sure he must be going to Leningrad only. Same Same what the comrade said in the first stance. This is the typical psyche of smart and working overtime brains. This is the typical psyche of smart and working overtime brains. People often go to ridiculous lengths doing thinking on other people's behalf, whether concisely or subconsciously, consciously or subconsciously. It gets reflected in their attitude towards those other people for whom they have just finished their exercise of smart thinking. Precept 13. Obey your parents and love your spouse and children. Obey your parents and love your spouse and children. Explanatory remarks. Relationships between parents and children, husband and wife, brothers and sisters, and so on are a result of divine blessings. Anything wrong happening in these relationships should be viewed as Satan's work and should be traced in the interest of a long-term mutual understanding and love. Consider it as rejecting divinity first. Precept 14. Do not hurt others emotionally by way of making fun, teasing, taunting, and so on. In case someone gets hurt unintentionally, don't be miserly with the word sorry and mean it when you say it. Explanatory remarks. Talking about hurting, we should be more careful and not cause mental hurt or angers to others. Physical harm being taken care of by the law of the state in these modern times. So, we must refrain from causing mental hurt or angers, particularly through attempts to prove others wrong. But if such hurting does happen and when we become aware of it, immediately an unconditional apology must be expressed and then work procreatively towards rebuilding of the same camaraderie which will happen sooner or later. Precepts 15 and 16. Help the needy, do good deeds, extend the best possible service and support to others, both material as well as emotional. Be fair, kind, and just to others. Be fair, kind, and just to others. Always avoid confrontational attitudes. Explanatory remarks. It needs no detailed explanation that sometimes we ourselves can be on the other side and may need help, support, and kindness from others. But we deserve it only if we have lent a helping hand to others in the past. Precept 17. Develop a forgiving nature. Develop a forgiving nature. Praise others as often and as best as possible. Real enemies exist only on the war fronts. In typical social milieu, only only presumed enemies exist. Explanatory remarks. Enemies exist only in the mind and are enemies exist only in the mind and are generally the creation of our minds working overtime. When we start doubling, when we start doubting the integrity of others and imagining imperfections in others, make no mistake, each one of us is imperfect and yet we expect perfection. Perfection as per individual definition from others, in dealings, in talking, in everything. Remember, we have many weaknesses ourselves and a few strengths. Appreciate the same truth about others. Neither we nor others have much control on areas of weaknesses which develop over time due to factors of no choice of ours. But we all do have the wisdom to ensure that our weaknesses do not make others suffer. And if someone does something unfair or wrong which is not extremely serious in nature, that is, such a thing which may not result in heaven's falling, just forgive and forget. Forgiveness is an important precept in most religions. Confrontations should invariably be avoided by developing a habit of agreeing to and respecting other people's plan and observation or options by happily saying, "You are right," unless there is something of readily critical significance where we should put our foot down. One become more acceptable, pleasing and handsome through display of such positiveness. Precepts 18-19. Make best efforts and extend support towards increasing the green cover on earth. Work towards conservation of flora and fauna. Make best efforts and extend support towards increasing the green cover on earth. Work towards conservation of flora and fauna. Explanatory remarks. It may be interesting to know that each one of us needs about 130,000 hits of oxygen annually. An average trees net yield production less its own consumption of oxygen just about equals this. Now consider one, the greenhouse effect emission of carbon dioxide through industrial facility. 2. The increasing felling of trees on account of human habitual requirements. And 3. The population explosion where each increased number of human beings be the population explosion where each increased number of human beings demands another 130,000 hits of oxygen annually. If human race continues to increase its industrial growth, if it keeps felling trees, and if its population maintains its northward shift, this lifeline will certainly diminish fast. We do not have to think very hard to visualize the catastrophe we are inviting. There will not be enough oxygen. There will not be enough oxygen for many of us to survive. What will posterity think of us? It will think of us as idiots who did not know how to maintain balance with nature. Respect nature. Increase its green cover by planting trees and conservation of the flora and the fauna. Precept number 20. Conserve energy and water and help recycling efforts in general so as to facilitate the conservation of nature's non-renewable resources. Avoid wasteful consumption. In fact, discourage consumerism. Explanatory remarks. Adopt devices and practices that help in conservation of energy and water, etc., such as CFLs, compact fluorescent lamps, and other energy efficient products like green geyser, which not only helps conserve energy by 50% but also helps conserve water as it facilitates a shower bath where each droplet is utilized as against the typical mug and bucket bath where 80% of water is wasted by way of splashing and overflowing on the body. Use of recycled paper for stationery is a simple and sensible application of the concept of recycling. These are only a few examples. Our own inventiveness should help us think of many other ways. On the flip side, use of steel in home furniture should be considered criminal. Let us think and adopt more of such possibilities which are positive towards Mother Nature, and our contribution will count. Leave nature's bounties for posterity like we do at micro level with our personal bounties, leaving them for our close family. The day God reveals himself. A sincere hope is that as and when God reveals himself before humanity, we should be able to face him with our heads held high, to behold his supremacy with reverence. The supremacy we have been talking about for thousands of years, and with proud reaffirmation of our being a coherent and unified society of diverse religions, but following an agreeable set of common precepts. Let us not face him with our heads hanging in shame, since a set of people have been too busy quarreling and varying in a childish manner over exclusive rights over him in the name of one compartmentalized religion or the other, and the neglecting the common sense approach towards simple goodness or godliness. Let us not embarrass ourselves in front of him because we fail to take care of the hospitable green planet he gave us on lease, and in fact for having not only turned the planet into shambles, but for also having the audacity to go even beyond the troposphere to cause damage to the ozone layer which he had put in place to protect us. Precept number 21: reject products that can be directly or indirectly harmful to the environment. Explanatory remarks: such products as the ozone depleting substances ODS, like refrigerants, aerosols, PUF, used as insulation, etc., which cause ozone depletion, must be shunned. The ozone layer of the atmosphere, which protects life on earth by filtering out the sun's dangerous ultraviolet radiation, which can be cause skin cancer, etc., is depleted by ODS pollutants arising out of industrial activities. Holes in this protective layer have already developed over the South Pole and Antarctica, resulting in increased UV radiation. Surely we do not want our children and grandchildren to suffer from skin cancer, cataract of the eyes, damage to agriculture, and face the result of other imbalances in the ecosystem. Action Plan DOW. It is for each one of us to take a decision today particularly for the leading lights in the social, political, and religious fields, to come forward and choose the right option towards unity of world religions, aimed at lasting world peace, promoting the concept of Camp 21 could be an option that is highly pertinent according to many enlightened people with more matured inputs from well meaning intellectuals. It is sincerely hoped that a proactive word spurt from all concerned, including religious leaders and heads of the nations, particularly those who are more concerned about extremism or terrorism, will lead to an environment that will be highly conducive to lasting world peace. Agencies like the UN have all the while been seriously concerned about the realization of a dream of unity of world religions, which alone can lead the human race towards lasting world peace in not so distant a future. It is hope that it is hope that a majority of the intelligentsia from all walks of life, including social, religious, and political fields, will become restive against the status quo. Option I in the box, and prefer a practice approach towards self, others, and nature. A workable plan, Christine Dow, has already been designed for implementation of option 2. Action plan Dow can be spread over 3 phases. Phase number 1: develop mutual respect among people for all religions, which are all intrinsically good and noble, by way of prescribing a primer on world religions for everyone in every age group, from every region and religion. Phase number 2: cultivate and win public opinion for the innovative concept, the truth of science and spirituality, the religion of God, to become an addendum to every religion. Phase number 3: work towards the formal acceptance of the truth and science spirituality, the religion of God, as an addendum to each different religion through religious leaders' support and acceptance. An international center for unity of world religions could be set up for implementation of the truth of science and spirituality and carrying out action plan Dow. An appeal to all world leaders who would like to see oneness in humanity. An appeal to all world leaders who would like to see oneness in humanity and lasting world peace actualized through unity of world religions and living Mother Nature in better shape within our lifetime. Welcome. Let us take the truth of science and spirituality, the religion of God, from the concept stage to a worldwide crusade of the 21st century and give manifestation to the long cherished dream of unity of world religions, a dream that has been cherished for over 100 years when means of communication and travel were primitive, a dream which is capable of being realized now in a shorter term and can result in lasting world peace. In the third phase of the suggested action plan DOW, with continued reverence towards all the world religions, this appeal is a call for manifestation of the much envisaged oneness of humanity through the common addendum of minimum precepts, the truth of science and spirituality, and addendum which will essentially complement and supplement all world religions in their existing forms, acting as a link. Yours sincerely exhort everyone to give it a consideration and, if found worthwhile, to procreatively support the effort. Make no mistake that if it is not pushed by the leaders and the intelligentsia of today, our descendants will discover such a need as an emergency, since the fast deteriorating conditions on the social and the environment front will become so unbearable that it will have to be taken up on a far footing. Let the present day leaders and the intelligentsia not derive comfort from the fact that they will be long gone from planet Earth before such an imperative strikes humanity. How long can we keep shying away from the responsibility towards our clan, means the human race, towards posterity, and above all, towards God, who, in the first place, bestowed this beautiful green planet on us unconditionally and with great faith, entrusted us with the job of taking its due care. Can we betray him? Now we cannot and shouldn't. Let's come together to walk in the right direction, a direction in which, if we proceed earnestly, we as a human race can live peacefully and can maintain the beauty and balance of the environment. If we walk in the direction as envisaged under the truth of science and spirituality, the results of improved social milieu and nature's improved environment will be for all of us to see. Interestingly, within our own lifetimes, and when we face God, our heads will be held high and not hang down in shame or remorse when he asks, "How did you do?" Please communicate with us on email alcohol11@hotmail.com, which could be the starting point of humanity's journey towards lasting world peace and nature's improved environment. Through Camp 21, the religion of God become a proactive member of this 21st century crusade and provide the much needed fillip to it. The second, the better, within our own lifetime. In fact, within the next couple of years, we all will be able to see the first rays of hope of the unity of humankind, unity of world religions, and then the lasting world peace and nature's improved environment will not be far behind. Accepting of the concept of the truth of science and spirituality, Camp 21 is an imperative today. Your valued support on email alcohol11@gmail@hotmail.com is welcome to that. The envisaged action plan DAO can be taken up in the right earnest, and the dream of Camp 21 as the religion of God realized for the benefit of each one of us from different historical and geographical affiliations. Religions of God, the truth of science and spirituality, or status quo. Issues. Religious following to continue unchanged in each respective religion based on preachings of prospective prophets or holy books. Option number 1, continue with current understanding or practices. Yes. Option number 2, create a realistic environment of oneness through Camp 21, the religion of God. Yes. Next issue is precepts. Option 1 is continue with the orthodox precepts and consider as irrelevant any suggestion of updating the same. Option number 2, refocus on precepts of eternal validity only and bring in new precepts relevant to the 21st century. Next issue, inter-religion relationships. Option 1, keep the religious compartmentalized, yet keep showing concern and desire for the unity of all religions. Option number 2, implement proposals such as those of 21, which can give a semblance of oneness, respect for other religions and their followers, and ultimately resulting in creating an environment that can be conducive to lasting world peace. Next issue, caring for the planet Earth's environment. Option 1 is note an issue of concern to religion and let the religion continue to confine itself solely to religious and orthodox social precepts, and more importantly to continue with spiritual upgradation and focus on metaphysical issues, the main concern of religion. Option number 2, consider nature's gift as an integral part of that supreme power, God, around whom the whole concept of religion revolves, and persuade people to proactively work for environment protection and leave a better world for posterity. So brothers and sisters, dear friends, those who are listening, learning the truth of science and spirituality, in the sum up, in brief, in concise and precise, we can say that nature is our true friend and we are to be environmentally and atmospherically free from the pollutants, and we are to keep the earth clean and the body which is provided by God, we are to keep it clean by doing meditation and repetition of the holy words. Thanks all of you.